Hello and welcome to Pitt Street Research. My name is Stuart Roberts and I'm one of the co-founders of our firm. And joining me from Perth on the morning of Wednesday, the 3rd of December 2025 is Mr. Steve Norregaard, who's the Managing Director and CEO of Win Metals, ASX WIN. That's got to be a classic ASX code there. Steve, well done.
When we listed, we were known as Widgie Nickel, and we secured the ASX ticker code of WIN. And with the demise of the nickel market, we thought it was a pivot to gold. The company thought, well, we've got to change our name, but we have to retain our ticker code. So it became WIN Metals,
Okay, well done.
agnostic to commodity and not location specific.
Yes. Before we pressed the button a second ago, you said to me these magical words, hope is not a strategy. Now, as you said to me, the Mount Edwards nickel project has been killed by the changed economics of the nickel market. The pivot to gold is interesting. Talk to us about your most recent transaction, the Radio gold mine that you've just picked. Very old mine that hasn't been worked in about 50 years, but you've got ideas.
Look, the radio mine occupies a little bit of a special spot in West Australian mining history. It has produced over 70,000 ounces at a mercurial head grade of 38.5 grams per tonne.
I'll take that head grade any day of the week.
Yeah, it has been the highest grade producer at periods during its production history. Um, in more recent times, it's been in the hands of various operators that really haven't exploited any of the resource. I mean, in the last 10 years, I think 2,500 tonnes of ore has been mined and processed. So the opportunity for us is significant in the sense that probably by virtue of the misfortune of others, we've managed to pick up an asset that is ready to turn on. We've got a 330 metres of full-size capital development in the form of a decline established, ore drives established, all of the necessary fixed plant and equipment necessary to continue mining, all the mobile plant, offices, workshops. We've even got a pub which accommodates our people. So to be able to acquire an asset that's got a remaining resource that is capable of exploitation in this current market, it's been a great transaction for Win shareholders, and we've engineered a strategy which revolves around, firstly, the implementation of about 9,000 metres of RC drilling to be able to prove to ourselves that some of the historical results from previous drilling aren't just a flash in the pan. We've identified 3 potential near-surface open pit targets and also have augmented that with some deeper drilling to see potential extensions to the radio mineralisation. We've made 2 announcements which vindicate that decision. One of the resources adjacent to the radio mine, known as Radio Repeater, we've had a series of very, very high-grade intercepts that indicate it may well be an extension of the main radio mine. So with that, armed with that knowledge, we'll now recalculate the resources in the new year. A new mine plan that will involve re-entering the underground mine, which will be complemented by open pit mining, is one that we should be able to come out to market by the end of the first quarter of next calendar year. And a small period of permitting, understanding that we'll be disrupting vegetation and such like on a already existing mining footprint. I would like to see us producing gold in one form or another by mid next year. So a great outcome. The beautiful thing about it is that by virtue of all the sunk capital, all of the fixed and mobile mining equipment, the costs of recommencing production are going to be negligible. It's not a situation where there's going to be a big amount of capex required, which is tailor-made for where we are right at the moment.
Right. Now, what's our potential to build a really big resource here? We're in that a part of Western Australia that includes Pantoro, for example, with the Norseman deposit. I imagine this is an area that if you started kicking around with a little bit more than the current RC program, all sorts of interesting stuff could show up.
Stu, it's interesting that the radio mine has essentially been operated as a private operation for virtually its entire existence. So uh, we've acquired the asset with a total of 18,000 metres of drilling only
My
spent
goodness.
delineating the mineralisation. So our commitment effectively that commenced prior to acquiring the asset of 9,000 metres gives you an idea of the prospectivity. The existing mine was only developed, mined down to, I think, 120 vertical metres. So the opportunity is there through more exploration to see this resource grow.
Right. And talk to us about the geological setting that we're operating in.
Look, the Southern Cross Greenstone Belt extends from south of Marvel Lock, north of Bullfinch. It's a field that has a very, very rich production history. Like many other deposits in the Eastern Goldfields, what we do is typically we see shear hosted mineralisation with the gold hosted in quartz. No difference at radio. Probably one of the unique things is that it's hosted in granite, which is a little bit unique. And but the good thing is that we know there's lots of it. We know that the mineralisation is essentially free milling. Historically, the gold has been liberated out of ore with up to 90% of that achieved through gravity recovery. So no technical impediments whatsoever to seeing this project get back into production. No technical challenges whatsoever other than our willingness to give it a go.
That's very exciting. Next to that is Butchers Creek, and I understand the picture behind you is the old tailings dam at Butchers Creek. Tell us about that up near Halls Creek in the a long way away from where radio is.
It is a long way away. The Kimberley's right at the moment. The Kimberley's getting rained upon. Our exploration effort there is a little bit limited to the months from March through until probably October, November, just by virtue of the hot conditions there right at the moment. The project at Butchers Creek is a great project. We've only had it for just on 13 or 14 months. We've also had a maiden drill program which achieved a great result in confirming and expanding the mineralisation at the main Butchers Creek, which the image behind me is the open pit. That was pivotal for us in the sense that it's allowed us to go through a first phase scoping study, which we announced just over a month ago, demonstrating that just relying on the Butchers Creek resource, which has a touch over 260,000 ounces in the indicated category, we can support a financially robust standalone development. The project itself has two resource areas at this point in time, the Butchers Creek project, and only 6 kilometres to the north, the Golden Crown area, which is an ideal adjunct for the existing project. That area has a current 38,000 ounces, but through our first phase drilling, we were able to demonstrate that the mineralisation continues well beyond the current resource boundaries. One of our deepest holes, some 140 metres below the existing resource, hits 6 metres at 10.85 grams per tonne. So we see the opportunity for this resource to grow substantially, and that's one of the key targets for us in our forthcoming field season. We hope that we're up in the Kimberley region with a drill rig at full noise for an extended period of time because we've got an exploration target on that Golden Crown resource of just under 100,000 ounces. So game on.
Okay. So we've got two interesting projects to do a rebuild of Win post the nickel meltdown. If you were a betting man, which of these two projects would you bet growing faster in terms of creating shareholder value for the company?
Well, if I look at the company right at the moment, a market cap of $30 million, what will move the needle for shareholders? If we can get ourselves into a position where we are generating free cash and not be compelled to go back to market, that is the wish of every shareholder. And our radio asset is the one that's going to deliver us that potentially that outcome quickest. So we are singularly focused now on getting the radio mine up and going. In this high gold price environment, we expect there's a decent operating margin to be had. Our wish, along with every ASX listed company, is to be self-funding, and we sincerely hope that the radio asset is able to achieve that for us and our shareholders.
Right. So let's talk about your due diligence before you acquired radio. Been run as a privately held mine for its entire existence, running back to the very early years of the 20th century. When you were looking at the project in that due diligence phase, what did you spot potentially that could be a risk factor?
Well, I suppose there's always risks with everything that you look at. The project's relatively small in size, and there had been various, well, the project had fallen into administration for a period of time. So going through that process, it was important that we just acquired the actual asset rather than the vehicle that held the
Right.
asset.
Yep.
And that was a cleansing step for us. The tenements were obviously in good standing, which is important, and the assets were purchased unencumbered. So, or should I say, free from encumbrances. So that was probably the main thing. We've only seen positive things since we acquired the asset. We've been on the ground now for the better part of 3 months. No nasty surprises, only upside.
Right. Now, it's granite hosted. Any risk does that pose in terms of well, you said it yourself, processing is not an issue. You can do most of this through gravity.
Yep.
But granites tend to be problematic sometimes in terms of the gold deposits they host, right?
Well, the actual mineralization itself is hosted in a shear with a lot of quartz in it, with a little bit of sulfides. So
All right. No surprises there. Yeah.
nothing new.
Okay.
Stu, this is a very, very vanilla type ore body, nothing bespoke about it. We don't foresee any issues. The irony is that in many deposits in the eastern goldfields, the depth of weathering can be quite significant. In the case of radio, we're in fresh rock, probably 5 to 10 meters below the land, below the surface. So good, solid, competent rock in which to mine from an underground perspective is an absolute godsend.
All right.
Not a lot of water ingress. Because there has been a production history, technically it's been de-risked.
Right. Norregaard's not an Irish name, but I suspect you've got some Irish in you because it seems to me like you've gotten very lucky lately.
Well, no, my heritage is Danish, and unfortunately, there's not really a very rich mining history, other than I suppose Denmark is the custodian of Greenland, and that's a hot topic right at the moment with Donald Trump wanting to acquire Greenland. But yeah, look, Scandinavians have got a rich mining history, and I've been fortunate enough during my mining career to have seen lots and have had an exciting career.
Right. And you shared some of that with me before we went on air. For a while there, you were head of contracting, underground contracting for McMahon. That's got to have stood you in good stead for what you're coming up with at radio shortly.
Yeah. having a good working knowledge of underground mining, whether that be mechanized or handheld, is important because you do need to mine according to the prevailing conditions. And we see the radio mine has had a rich history of underground mining by handheld methods. I would anticipate that that would be the case for us going forward. One of the aspects that the ore body does lend itself to is the fact that the actual dip is very shallow. So one of the features of what we'll do, which is something that I've done before at the Rav-8 nickel mine in Ravensthorpe, is we're looking and examining the possibility of putting the decline itself, the deep capital development, actually within the ore body itself, so we can mitigate a lot of that capital cost of developing a mine that you see is a big issue for many other miners.
All right. Let's last question from me. Look forward a year from now. It's coming up to Christmas 2026. What do you hope to have achieved by then?
Well, it'd be nice to be sitting here as a managing director with an operating mine and a growing bank balance, which is an important thing, with a mine that has got a good production future, a second asset which will be in the closing stages of probably completing a much higher level technical study that will then allow us to develop that second project, so a growing gold profile. And you never know, the nickel market could see a few changes happen in the next 12 months, and the nickel value, which is probably sitting here as a latent value within the company, come to be more prominent. It's ironic that just over 2 years ago, Win Metals had a market cap of over $150 million, which was based upon nickel and nickel alone.
How times have changed, but I'm looking forward to the recovery. But in the meantime, we've got a great year ahead of us. Steve Norregaard, thank you for joining Pitt Street Research.
Thank you very much, Stu. Love it. Appreciate it.